Finally, a podcast experience like no other. Loop and Larry Plus has launched. All your geek-tastic episodes have been restored in an easy-to-access podcast audio format. Indulge in Loop and Larry originals like The Mandalorian, High School Loopsicle, The Loopsicle, and Larry and the Tramp. And don't miss the new and exciting mega series with super creative names like Loop Knight, Larry Vision, Loopy, and Larry and the Winter Loopster. And if you act now, we'll throw in the exciting debut of this week's Loop and Larry episode, Gargoyles. Loop and Larry Plus, the evolution of podcasts. Operators are standing by. Stream for free at loopandlarry.ca.
If you sleep during the day, encased in cement, then awake at night, bursting out of your stone enclosure to fly through the night, saving the city from evildoers, then either you're some sort of super vampire, or you might just be a gargoyle. Find out today on Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek!
In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
Oh, yeah.
We are back!
We are back. It's been a couple weeks since we've been back.
Yeah, we had a lot of stuff going on in the world, so we wanted to collect as much as we could before we got back on here, so we could give you the biggest, most full adventure of all time.
We had to unpack this whole everything that's happened in the last few weeks. I'm Loop.
And I'm Larry.
This is Guardians of Geek, and exciting. A lot of things have been happening in the last couple weeks, and we wanted to kind of wait for Disney Plus, and then and you still want to be able to see what it's like, and then I was away in Las Vegas doing what I do best, which is party.
Nothing. Exactly. So we thought, let's just hold off a little bit so we can give it like the full treatment.
Yeah, because we like to do full treatments.
Full treatments.
This is getting weird and creepy.
I know. We should really move into this because I don't know what we're doing here.
Just move on. Okay, so first off, let's talk about, there's nothing else to talk about right now other than Disney Plus. Let's just launch with that because it won't be in our top 5, but we're going to talk about it separately just because it's a big thing. It's a thing.
It's a huge thing.
It's a thing.
And we've been talking about this thing for months.
Yeah, so
it's finally here.
So we're going to talk about Disney Plus, and of course we're going to talk about the show on it, which is Mandalorian. So we're going to...
You're not talking about Lady and the Tramp?
Oh, that is also a huge thing on there.
Yes.
There's tons on there. It's all great.
So what are your first impressions?
Okay, so I've kind of broken them into good and bad.
All right, go.
Okay, so and some of the bad stuff is stuff that I haven't experienced, but I know other people have. So.
Okay.
But let's just start with the good. First, just on an overview of it, for me, I think it's great. I mean, Disney, I can't think of anybody that has more content than them, and in a world where content is king.
Yep.
Disney has it, and Disney's got stuff in the vault and movies from decades of movies, and it's amazing to even go through. And this is probably this is just scratching the surface of probably what they have.
Yep.
But it's great to see a lot of this in one place.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing. This is we are just at launch day, just past launch day, kind of thing. This has years and years to grow and develop. I can't even imagine the stuff that they're holding back on. If they've launched with what they've launched with, people are gonna forget about all the other streaming services. This is gonna be it.
It's good though too, because you have to think too as well. I mean, it's not like they're going to kill Netflix, because Netflix has been around and they've got a lot of established shows we love.
Yes.
And so, Netflix is its own thing. And the thing with Disney Plus, which is different than Netflix, is that Disney Plus is a lot cleaner, I guess, is a good way of saying it.
Yeah, it's more family friendly.
More family friendly.
Yes.
So, that's not always the content you want to watch, right? Yeah. So it's in that way, it's automatically different than some of the other streaming services. So.
Absolutely. And it's just, this one for me is much more nostalgic, Disney Plus, because when I was going through the list of movies and shows and things that are offered, there were movies that I haven't seen since I was a kid, and I suddenly got like so nostalgic and so excited to see these things again. Day one of launch, like when the thing launched, after of course watching The Mandalorian, I watched Davy Crockett.
Oh my God!
What? Davy Crockett?
Well, let's unpack this with good and bad.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start with the good.
Yep.
I think let's start with the lineup. I mean, I think it's amazing. You go.
Everything. Like I said before, like there are so many classic movies that I had completely forgotten about. That I grew up with, because every Sunday night when I was growing up, we'd watch The Wonderful World of Disney on TV, and every week it would be a different movie or an animated show or something about like Disney World or that sort of thing, and we used to watch that all the time. And I used to love Sunday nights where you could like get in your pajamas when you were a little kid and stay up and watch A Wonderful World of Disney. And now a lot of those things are back on here. Like I said, I mean, Bedknobs and Broomsticks is on there. All of the Herbie the Love Bug, I mean, like Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo is on there.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's just put it this way: never has Don Knotts been so popular.
Exactly.
Don Knotts has never been used. His name's never been said in the last 10 years.
But his IMDb rating just went through the roof.
But yeah, the content, like, so what I had my eye on, which is I knew was going to be on there, and it's not all on there, but is a lot of the Marvel cartoons.
Yes.
Because I'm a big Marvel Comics fan, and there's cartoons I grew up on. You probably watched a lot of these too, but Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, I haven't watched it yet, but I was like, oh yeah. Like, and there's another Spider-Man show, which I thought was the original 60s Spider-Man.
It's not. I don't think so.
It's not on there. I heard it's supposed to come on there, but
really?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But anyways, the one that was on there was the one, I remember this one, because that was the one from the 80s that I used to watch, like 82, 81. And it was like, this is the greatest, man. This is like, there's all these shows. X-Men is on there. Like the original X-Men run. The other show I was really excited about are on there are the newer Avengers series. There's a couple different ones. I think there's Avengers Assembled and another one that had like different, each season was a different sort of storyline. And but the problem was, and we've talked about this before, if you watched it on Disney XD or whatever it was, they were never in order.
No.
And they just sort of randomly played at different weird times. And it's like, so you can never really watch it properly, but this can put them into the season. So I'm really excited about kind of like sitting down and watching those.
Yes. There's just so much like that I just, the first day, all I did was I went through like their entire lineup and hit, add to watch list, add to watch list, add to watch. My watch list is almost as big as like their entire library.
The Simpsons are on like, all the seasons. Like, that's amazing. Like, and just like my son is watching, like starting to watch all the Pixar movies, like every one of them, like, because they're all, like, most of them are on there. Which it's so cool. Like, the content is just incredible.
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
It's I think it's because you're right. Like, we used to watch that the Magical World of Disney,
Wonderful
World. Yeah,
Yep.
And it was and there's so much from that I remember, all those like kind of live action movies.
Yeah,
like the Apple Dumpling Gang or whatever. It's like,
exactly.
And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about these. I don't know how good they are, but I will definitely try to check out.
And don't forget the computer who wore tennis shoes.
Oh, is also on there.
Yep, a kid in King Arthur's court. Come on.
I'm trying, and right now I'm like, I know there's other shows that aren't on there that I'd like to see. Like again, like the original 1960s Spider-Man.
Yep.
I'm sure there's other like Marvel shows that I've forgotten about. And I think there's still some seasons of the newer Avengers that aren't on there as well. But I'd like to see some of those on there eventually. Like,
I feel like they'll all be there eventually. Like, they've got to keep populating this thing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure.
And I know, I don't know if it was Netflix, but Netflix used to have for a while, there was some newer like Iron Man series and stuff that were like, there's an anime Iron Man and an anime Wolverine and things like that. Once all those start populating on there, I think it's like, it's just going to get better and better and better.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Was there anything on there that you were looking for but didn't see?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously everybody knows my big thing is Star Wars, so I just wanted to see sort of what they had on there. And some of the like, I don't think Solo is there yet.
No. And
I don't think The Last Jedi is there. I think those things are still on Netflix.
Yeah.
So I couldn't complete my collection on on Disney Plus because I haven't moved over yet.
I think there's a contract with Netflix so that some of those cannot move over yet. They don't have full rights to them right yet. So.
But I mean, I didn't see there wasn't anything that I was specifically looking for, like, oh, I hope it's really there. But I was talking to somebody who was looking for the black hole. And was so excited to watch the black hole again, but didn't actually see it on the lineup until I showed it to him, and it was there. And then he was like, "I'm totally watching this." So it's like, people have their own things that they want to see,
and that's one of the ones I think I mentioned on a previous one. That was one that I was waiting for to see.
And
I've been watching a lot of years, so I don't know if it's as good as I remember it.
I don't think it's gonna be,
but it could be.
It could be.
I don't know. There wasn't really much on there that I just because it was so overwhelming. I couldn't think of things other than the 1960s Spider-Man, which I'm not sure. I don't
know if they have the right. Do they have the rights to that?
I don't know who has the rights. You see, you just assume because it's a Marvel cartoon that they would have the rights. Because technically, by that sort of knowledge of them owning Marvel, like Marvel actually produced the original G.I. Joe series.
Really?
That was a Marvel series.
I didn't know
so
that.
It was under the Marvel banner because it was on Marvel Comics and stuff. So technically, if they had the rights with Hasbro, they could put that on there.
Wow,
I think Transformers might be under that as well.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So those really are because I just finished watching it and there was always the Marvel logo at the end of every episode.
Oh, well, then it is quite possible. I mean, those are the things they could be holding back on.
Yeah.
Just to launch, next year.
And they're also sort of like weird second party shows.
Yeah.
So I mean, they'd have to do the deals with that. And that's the thing. I don't think anyone thought back in the day that there'd be streaming services.
No.
I mean, there's always the putting them into syndication and all that, but the streaming services and all this and. I'm sure Disney's trying to just buy back all their content if they don't already own it. So.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just going to keep getting better and better.
Oh yeah, there's so much stuff. I was just looking at it going, wow, this is a lot of stuff.
What's the bad? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say they got 10 million customers in 24 hours.
Crazy.
That's nuts. I mean, people were waiting for this thing and they were super excited about it. Let's just go into some of the. I don't want to make it negative. It's because I think this is a great thing, but some of the things that I maybe didn't quite work. I don't think. Okay. There was some cutting of some of their content.
Yeah.
Now that's either a good thing or a bad thing. It just depends how you sit on it. I mean, there is some insensitive content.
Yes.
And some characters and some things. And I think even I was thinking Looney Tunes. Didn't they cut out
during the war? The Bugs Bunny during World War II cartoons, they've eliminated some of those things.
And what's the mouse? The mouse from Mexico. What's his name?
Speedy Gonzales.
Yeah, I think some of that because there was a lot of sort of stereotypes in there.
Yeah.
But so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I don't know what's your. I know Song of the South is the big one.
That was the one thing that I kind of hoped that they would put on there. Was Song of the South because they've never released it to home video because it is racially insensitive, and I understand
that's
that.
What Splash Mountain
is
based on. Because I remember when I went to Disney 4 years ago, we went on Splash Mountain, and I'm I remembered the characters, but I'm like, what is this from? Yeah, I couldn't remember
Bear
the movie.
And Brer Rabbit.
Yeah.
They created this whole ride, and the ride still exists, and the songs are on the ride and that sort of thing. But it's the portrayal of the Deep South and around the time of slavery that is not sensitive and inappropriate nowadays.
Yeah.
But I guess my whole thing with this cutting content is I think, and I was listening to an interview with somebody who was discussing this specifically about removing all of these things from existence, and the point that this person was making was that if we remove all of the negative content from everything that has happened before, the generations that are growing up won't know that these things happened, and it's the whole if you don't know history will tend to repeat itself. If you forget, do you know what I mean? If you forget that these things happened, then history will repeat itself. I think it's important for people to know that this is the culture that we have moved away from. To look back and say, that was a different time. We don't believe these things anymore, but this is what happened, and look how far we've come. If we erase all that stuff from existence, the new generation will have no idea. They won't see this stuff, and so they won't know that these things are wrong, and could potentially we could go there again. I think it's important to leave this stuff in. I mean, I think really it's up to parents to decide not to show it to their kids, or if people are offended individually, I think it's important that they just turn it off.
Yeah.
Nobody's forcing anybody to watch anything, but I think it's important that it's there so that people who do want to look back and see where we've come from get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I think it opens a dialogue as well, that you can talk about this stuff. Plus, to me, there's sort of that historical aspect. Like this is the way. This is what people were like that they thought things should be in that time period, which is wrong.
Yeah.
But that's it's a piece of history, and but even like Whoopi Goldberg said this movie should be on the network. Like
I totally think so.
The thing is like I was just looking at it, I forgot that Zippity Doo-Dah, which is one of the songs from that movie, was that won an Oscar. Yeah. Like so this is like a piece of like cinema history as well.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there's redeeming values in it. It's just that it's I understand why when you have to cut a movie so much that it changes the movie, then you don't cut it. But
exactly. But they did the same thing. Now I haven't actually gone and looked at this, but I know like for movies like The Aristocats, there was the Siamese cats. Scene in there. Now there was talk of people of it being cut, but then I've also read that they've put up disclaimers at the beginning of the movie that says this movie contains content that is outdated. And, so I personally haven't gone and looked yet, so I don't know if they actually took the scenes out.
I feel like I heard that they did, but I haven't gone and watched it. But again, if they can successfully, if it's hurtful and they can successfully cut it out without really damaging the plot of the movie or whatever, then I like. Go for it, I guess. Like, it doesn't bother me that much, but it's like, I mean, there's two just different ways of looking at it. Like, one is sort of like, it opens a dialogue. It is part of our history, and we should be able to look at it and try to change from it. And it's like going through your timeline in Facebook and deleting all the photos where you've done bad things, right? Like because you're going for a job. Like, it doesn't really say who you are because you've cut you're basically cutting pieces of your life off.
That's right.
Like,
and that's sort of what this is.
And now you look like a glowing, perfect person. But even though you're not really, like,
no. And the world was not a perfect place.
No.
But you start deleting all this stuff, and it gives people the wrong impression of history. Yeah. And I don't know that that's right, but
I don't know. They apparently they cut something from Dumbo as well.
Yes, there is a scene in Dumbo where there were crows that were sort of taunting Dumbo, but they were black. Like the crows themselves were black, and they represented sort of black culture in like Louisiana. Like they were sort of that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I remember them now. Yeah,
they had a song that they sang to, and so I think that part was cut as well.
And then there was a casting couch reference from Toy Story 2 they cut as
really?
well. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Toy Story 2, that's not even that long ago.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it was just it wasn't much insensitive as it was probably just to it was more for like a parent's joke than it was for kids. So they're
I guess
like,
so.
You can get really, I mean, like I don't want to say cutty as a word, but you know what I mean, edity.
Yes.
Like with stuff, if you start to really look, this joke is too like it gets into a whole other issue of like you
don't want to sanitize the whole world. Then I just feel like that's it. It just creates the wrong view of the world we live in.
Yeah. But even didn't they cut Star Wars again, that Greedo scene?
They did that. So they didn't cut it, they added to it.
Okay, so tell me about this, because I kind of looked at it briefly, but I wasn't really 100% sure what they added to this.
So then in Star Wars A New Hope, the one from 1977, that George Lucas infamously re-edited and added digital stuff and did whatever he did. Apparently, the story is that before he sold the rights to Star Wars to Disney, he made a change to A New Hope.
Oh, he's so sneaky.
And apparently, as part of the contract, it said something along the lines of they agreed to take the original movies as they were and not change them. So Lucas added this one little scene before this sale, and so
what a bugger!
So apparently, it's the infamous Greedo, like the Han shoots first. So it's the Greedo and Han scene in the cantina.
Because in the original, he shoots Greedo, so he looks kind of callous.
Yeah, but super
he's
cool.
But super cool. Yeah, he's like a swashbuckler.
That's right.
Like a pirate.
Yeah.
Right?
So then, of course, Lucas changes it so that Greedo shoots first, so Han looks innocent and he's just defending himself.
Yeah, defending himself.
And everybody hated that, so he changed it again, so they shoot almost at the same time, and then it was changed one more time so that Han shoots first again. So now they've released the original Star Wars on there, and now they're in 4K. So this is the first 4K release of the original movies. Yeah. So they've added a scene right before Han shoots. Did you watch it? Have you seen it?
I watched it, but I didn't watch it with sound. So
okay. Well, it's important to watch it with sound because this is the whole thing. And this is now. Before I say this is my new favorite thing of all time.
Okay.
It's so stupid. So right before, the shooting begins, for whatever reason, the shot is on Han. It cuts back to Greedo really quickly, like a really quick shot, and Greedo says, full volume, "McClunky," and then he shoots. What?
I've seen McClunky like trending, but I know what that meant. So
it doesn't mean well. So that's pretty McClunky.
Why is that in there?
I don't know. Apparently, when it first came out, people were like, "There's no reference to this word anywhere. This is just like a made-up word. It sounds like some guy's name, like Bob McClunky. I don't know." But apparently, it means something along the lines of, "This will be the end of you." So in Greedo's language, McClunky means this will be the end of you. So he says, "This will be the end of you," and he shoots.
Yeah.
But really, McClunky. Like, that's the word that they chose.
And really, who deciphered that?
I don't know.
Guys, it's McClunky.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know, and I broke it all down in Greedo's language, who's barely in any of the movies, so I don't know how we're supposed to know this language.
Exactly. But it just, why couldn't they have come up with a more alien-sounding word?
Like, whatever they do. Like, they always make something weird.
Yeah, something like that would have been perfect. But McClunky. It is just so awkward and weird, and now that's in there forever.
I do find in the Star Wars movies, whenever there's another language, they're always very angry when they say it.
Yeah.
Like they always say it like it really angered. Angry languages. That's what it is.
This is an angry McClunky.
That is. I got to go watch this now.
And you got to watch it with sound because
I tried to watch it before, but then I was like at work. I was like just watching the video portion of it.
It's really quick. Like it literally is the length of, but it's just. I don't know, but I laughed so hard. I just like, what is going on here?
Why do they keep changing it?
I don't know.
So does Disney own? This is a whole other discussion, but does Disney own the original Star Wars anymore?
They own the versions that George Lucas gave them.
Oh,
so they own that. So which is why I guess now why they can't go back and re-release. Like on home video, the completely uncut original.
As they were originally seen.
Yeah, because that's what we thought would happen when Disney bought. We thought that finally we would get home video version of these movies without all the stupid cuts and all that. But apparently that's why they can't do that, because the contract said you can't touch these. So that's what they are. However, the other thing the one thing that they did change in all three of the original Star Wars movies, which is super cool, is they've put back on the beginning the 20th Century Fox fanfare. So the
that's back on there.
That's back on there because now Disney owns Fox.
Right.
So they've got the rights to that opening fanfare, because that was, for a lot of us, that was part of the movie, was that music. It was a long time before I realized that wasn't actually part of the Star Wars theme.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So now so when you watch it, that's back there.
It's such a great
really
detail,
cool.
eh? Like a great detail someone's like added back in.
Back on. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So it makes up for the McClunky. With this.
Just to go back to the good again. Actually, I'll talk about it when we do Mandalorian.
All right.
Okay. I'll keep it in my head, but I'll forget it when I do it. Okay. The other thing I had for sort of like in the bad category was I don't see anywhere on there where you can keep watching something.
No, I was going to bring that up, and that is something that actually annoys me.
Like the continue watching button.
Yes.
Because when I was watching what we're going to watch later, which is Gargoyles, I had to keep going back and refining the show again because it doesn't tell you where you've left off or any of that. Okay.
No, so
it's not just me.
It is not just you. Okay. So unlike Netflix and all the other streaming services,
like every streaming service,
there's a category that says recently watched, where whatever you're watching falls into that category. So the next time you go in, you just go to recently watched, find your show, and boom, you're in. For whatever reason, they didn't add that to this. So every time you go to watch something, you have to go back to either your watch list or the main menu and scroll down and find the movie
or search it or whatever.
Or search it. And then if it's like Gargoyles, if it's an episode, you have to remember what number episode you were on, because like on Netflix, it will show you, like if it's a TV show, if there's 10 episodes, it'll like put a red line at the bottom of each episode that you've seen. So you know, I'm on episode 6. That's the next one.
Yeah.
But this one doesn't do that either.
Yeah.
So it's it's difficult to navigate. It's weird. I don't know why they did that.
Two things. Well, first, I saw a tweet where someone's like, I think I just watched the same episode of Lizzie McGuire like 5 times. Just because they forgot like which episode they were on, so they kept watching the same one. But the other thing is, I did read that Disney is working on this, and they hope to have it done by the end of this year or early next.
Okay.
Like, so they do know that's a thing, and they've for whatever reason didn't do it in the first place, but they are working on it to
That's good, because I'm sure they got a lot of feedback on.
That's a major thing. If you're watching any sort of series, it's got, and plus it helps them because when they do they do at the end of the episode say starting the next one. They do that.
They'll do that.
But it's like it's just a standard now. That's a standard practice to have that. So
no, I mean, you can, once you find your show, it will hold your place. Where if you stopped in the middle of a movie or whatever, like you go back in and it'll start where you left off, but you still have to search it or find it
again. I thought that kind of weird.
I thought that was weird too.
And the other thing that was sort of under the bad category is like literally like less than a week after or a few days after this launch, the accounts were hacked.
Yes.
So I've already changed my password, but some people like they're selling the passwords or selling to other people.
Yes. Like there's a website you can go to and either purchase or get for free an open Disney Plus account. So you can just go there and just grab the account information, or I don't know how it works, and then just log in. And it's somebody else's account. It's bizarre.
Well, it's weird because you think of this like how big Disney is and how they protect their properties.
Yeah.
They would have hired someone to try to hack the site. Because there's people that do that. That's what their job is, to try to go in and hack like company sites and to test it, to make sure it's not being hacked.
Yeah.
Like that would be my first priority, especially if you're trying to make money off this thing.
That's right.
And you've invested all this money in these major shows. Like,
yeah. And people are paying for it. So all of their credit card information is there. Like it just seems so strange that it was so easy for whoever it was to get in there so quickly and just pull all this stuff out.
Yeah, it just seems bizarre that it was like. I mean, there are some pretty good hackers out there, I guess. Like that might be. But you think that would have been a major concern of theirs off the top. But I just found it funny. It was within a week someone's already hacked it. And I'm like, really?
So strange. And people are finding out because when you go to your home page, when it asks you which profile, like at my house, I've got a profile for me, one for my son, and one for my wife, like 3 of us, so we could watch whatever we want, our things. On that page where it says choose your profile, people are seeing like a new profile with like Doug. Like this is Doug's profile. So it'd be like father, son, wife, sister, brother, and some random dude who's on there. And people are like, who is this guy? So that's how you find out if you're.
Well, I've heard of people being locked out completely. They can't because the people have gone in and changed the password.
Ugh, that's even worse.
And then they can't get into their own account.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how that's going to get fixed.
I don't know. I guess I guess you'd have to just stop payment on it and then restart a new account or something. Yeah,
and do it again. But
I don't know. It's kind of weird. But okay, well, let's move on to the show we really want to talk about here, which is The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
Yes. So we could probably talk about the first 2 episodes.
Yep. I think that they have officially lifted the spoiler free. I think I read an article that actually said Disney has said it's okay to talk about it now. Like and
plus I've seen like a bunch of memes and stuff. Yeah. So people, even if they haven't seen it, they'll kind of know something about it.
Exactly. So I mean, if you're listening to us in the UK, you might want to stop listening for a bit because I know you don't get Disney Plus until March.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So of this recording, the first 2 episodes have come out.
Yes, that's right.
And I'll mention the one thing that I thought was good that I didn't mention, but I'll mention it now, is that the 4K on this is amazing.
Oh, it's crazy.
Oh man, because they have a limited number of shows, mostly the newest ones they have, and a few others, and like Avengers Endgame that are all in 4K.
Yeah,
and it just looks spectacular if you have a 4K TV. It's like so crisp, so good.
It's really nice.
Love it.
Yep, and that's the only reason I watched the show.
Yeah. Well, I watched a bit of Endgame, and I was like, I just watched it to look at the 4K. Then half an hour later, I'm still watching. I'm like, all right, okay. I don't really have time to watch this right now, but
yeah, it's so good. So yes,
so you're the Star Wars fanatic,
Mandalorian.
So you're the expert on Star Wars.
Okay.
You bust into what you think.
So the Disney Plus launched at 6 a.m. on November 12th. At 7 o'clock in the morning is when I started watching The Mandalorian. I didn't quite make the 6 a.m., but 7 o'clock. So I watched the first episode like before work that day because I had to. And I probably will every Friday. Every Friday I'm going to be coming into work a little bit late because I got to get up and watch this thing.
So I work on a morning show, so I'm done like probably by 9:30, 10 or whatever. So I got home on the Friday. I didn't realize they were released on Fridays. Like that's the release time of each episode.
Yes.
Because it's not all one big dumping, it's week to week.
Yeah.
So I texted you about something about our podcast, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I just finished Mandalorian, the second episode. Like I think I just watched it or whatever."
Yeah.
So I watched it this morning.
No, I watched. I had by the time you texted me, I had watched that episode 3 times.
God. Love it.
Well, see, this is when they make an episode that's only 39 minutes long. It's super easy to watch a bunch of times.
Yeah, is that how long that episode did seem a little short? Like,
well, that one's 39 minutes. This episode 2 is 32 minutes. Like,
so they're around just over half an hour.
Yeah.
Which actually I don't mind. Actually,
oh yeah, I mean they
a lot happens in them.
Yeah,
like, as far as like action and that. But so what did you think?
I think it's great. I love this new direction that they're taking with Star Wars. I mean, I know that they're taking a bit of hiatus putting stuff on the big screen. I think the next movie's not till 2022, and I'm totally fine with that. If this is what they're going to do, if this is the quality of show that they're going to put out for Star Wars, I'm 100% into it. Every week we get like a mini movie, and that's what this is. I think that it's reported that they spent $120 million on this season.
Yeah.
I think that's what $120 million. That's nuts.
I don't know how they make that money back. I guess on the subscriptions, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And considering, I mean, if every episode is 4 hour or half an hour, we're going to end up with a 4-hour movie essentially because it's only 8 episodes this first season. So $120 million for a 4-hour movie. Yeah. I mean, that's nuts. But it shows the quality of the universe that they've created in this show is outstanding. Like it is so real, and it's a lot of practical effects, like real effects. So it's not. I mean, there's obviously CG in there, but a lot of it is real puppets and real ships and real environments. So it makes it so much more organic, and like the whole place feels like the original movies, like which I just thought was so amazing. I was totally into it. And this new character, the Mandalorian, who I think has actually dropped his real name is leaked out there, but I'm not confident on it, so I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
But I think he's fantastic. Yeah. I think he's mysterious and super suave and cool, but he's also got a lot of heart. Like that's the thing we never really saw with Boba Fett was anything other than a bounty hunter. Like this guy's got, he's sensitive.
Can I just say it? I know people are going to hate me, but Boba Fett sucks. Can I just say it? And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
But really, when you break him down in the movies, what did he really do other than just nod his head?
Yeah, he didn't really do very much. No, he really didn't. It's true.
Like, I mean, he's a cool looking character, like for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, he hits his jetpack and he goes flying into the Sarlacc.
Yeah, that's just about it.
Yeah, he really did nothing. He didn't do anything really cool. That was like
he didn't even like capture
Han Solo.
Yeah, he just got him. Yeah, he just got him as a reward afterwards. Like he really didn't do a lot.
Like he was like, but I mean, he's a cool character to look at. I just don't know really how good he was battle-wise.
No, he had a lot of cool gadgets and stuff.
Slave One was cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool ship.
But anyways, I love this. Like, what are some of your highlights of the first 2 episodes? Just little things. There's a lot of detail work in these.
There's a lot of really cool detail, and I love that it's not super kid friendly. Like, I mean, there was some violence in the first episode. Like when the I can't remember his species, but Squid Face, the Squid Face dude. Squidward. We call him Squidward. When he was trying to leave and the Mandalorian lassoed him with his lasso and pulled him back to the door, and the door literally cut him in half. Yeah. And you saw his lower half of his body fall to the floor. That's pretty intense. Yeah. Like there's, I think that's really cool that they're not like making it super kid friendly. Yeah. Because it's not that kind of world. Like it's a bounty hunter world. It's gonna get messy. Yeah. So I think that's stuff is really cool. Yeah. And I also love the references to like the original movies. And one of my favorite moments in the whole first episode was the first on-screen reference to the Star Wars Holiday Special. Did you catch it?
I think I did. What was that? Was that the monster he was riding?
No, it was when Horatio Sands, who plays the blue Aquaman, kind of looking like the fish.
Oh, that was
dude.
Horatio Sands.
That was Horatio
Okay,
Sands.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
So that he was captured. He's a blue looking fish dude. He's underneath the ship and he's walking around and he says, "Well, I was really hoping to get back home for Life Day to visit the family."
Yeah,
I'm like, what? They've made Life Day canon. Like that is now officially canon that they're going back. And the other thing that they did, I don't know if you caught this or not. So the only redeeming factor of the holiday special was there was an animated section right in the middle, which was the very first introduction of Boba Fett.
Right.
And it was actually really cool. It was a little 7-minute cartoon with Boba Fett, and he's with the droids, and it's really and it's pretty cool. And it was the first time I ever saw him. The weapon that he carries in that animated feature is the weapon that the Mandalorian uses.
It is,
it's like a pronged gun. They've never used that before in Star Wars canon.
That's pretty cool.
So now it's an actual weapon. You can see what it does, and it came from the holiday special, which is awesome.
That is very cool.
Yeah, I
just want to mention too, if you haven't seen this at all, but this takes place after Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, okay. I think it's 5 years. 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, yes.
Yeah, it's 5 years. Now, I've heard anywhere between 5 and 8 years, but I think officially it's 5 years. Okay. 5 years after. So the Emperor's dead. Well, I mean, may or may not be dead, but at that point, the Emperor was dead. The Empire had crumbled. So that's where we are. It's between the Empire and the First Order. That's what's happening. But yeah, so I loved that they referenced the holiday special and actually brought it into the stuff. That was, for me, I thought that was pretty awesome. But I just love the vibe of this show. I think it's just really cool and slick, and it feels very much like Rogue One.
Yes.
To me.
Yeah, it does. It totally does. Has the same sort of vibe as that. Yeah. Things I loved about it. Has that spaghetti western feel. Totally. That's like kind of what it's sort of like, I think. Even some of the music in that sort of that spaghetti western, which I love. Yeah. I think it's just a very cool way of I think that's how Star Wars should really think of itself. Kind of like Avengers does. We've talked about this in the past. Yeah. Where they like the Captain America movies are more like spy movies, and like they kind of like theme the movies almost in another sort of like theme. Yeah, I think that's what they should maybe be thinking of when they're doing these Star Wars movies. So they're not all kind of the same cookie cutter Star Wars feel, which I don't feel like this does, but still is a lot of great elements from the Star Wars sort of feel that you'd want, right? That's right. Of course, I won't give away kind of like the end of the first episode because that's, I mean, even though people have probably seen it.
Well, you're gonna have to if we're gonna talk about the second episode.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just gonna talk about both at once, but sure. The Baby Yoda, of course, is funny. But anyways, but the cool thing, I love the like the silicious crumb. Like they're actually cooking one like on a spit, and then there's one in the cage all scared.
That was awesome.
I thought that was really cool. Like, so it really shows it almost like a pet. Like it could be like a pet, or it's like
and it was the whole. People like found Salacious Crumb so obnoxious. Yeah. And then finally we get revenge by seeing one of them cooked.
I always love Salacious Crumb.
I did too, but it's so funny.
I love the fact that he doesn't take his helmet off in the first 2 episodes.
Yep. That's pretty cool.
Like, because I'm like, every other show when someone has like a helmet, they have to take it off because you have to see the actor. But this one, he hasn't taken it off once in the first 2 episodes, which I love. Like,
who knows if he ever will?
Yeah, he may not in the whole series. Who knows, right? Yeah. Like, I'm sure he will at some point, but it just creates that mystery of him, right? Yeah. Like, what's he going to look like when he takes the mask off?
Exactly. And it was actually referenced a couple of times. Like, the Horatio Sands blue dude says, is it true that you guys never take your helmets off? So he says that. And then later on, I think in the second episode, somebody says, it might help if you take your helmet off. And he doesn't. Like, that's what's cool about him, is that's who he is. Like, his armor is who he is. Like, I'm not taking my helmet off just for you.
Yeah. The other thing I love too is the IG-11, which is like, sort of like the same as IG-88. Yeah. But you finally see what like in that scene in Empire when it has all the bounty hunters lined up. Yeah. You finally see what he can do, what that sort of like model can do. Yep. And that scene with him is so cool. I'm like, cool. That's wicked.
That was the most spaghetti Western part of it. Like that shootout at the OK Corral. Like, it felt like an old Western town, and he was just like taking people out left and right and spinning. Oh, so good.
And the other thing I love is at the end, and this is a minor detail, but I love how it has like sort of like the artist, like an artist rendition of scenes at the end during the credits, and it's so dumb, but I love, like, it looks cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're like the storyboard scenes or it's just actual post someone's drawn stuff from the, I don't know.
I'm not sure either, but it goes along with that whole Western feel. Like, it feels
totally feels like it.
I feel like Clint Eastwood could be in that picture with the, with his poncho on and his big hat over his eye. I totally feel like he could be a part of that.
Yeah, like, I don't want to get too much into the plot of it, but it's like at this point, but those are just some cool, like, there's just a lot of detail work and more expanding on like the Jawas, like creatures we already have seen in bits and pieces, but you see a little bit more of them in this. So but it still gives that Star Wars feel, right?
Totally. Like, you get, I mean, this is the first time we've actually seen inside the cockpit of the sandcrawler. Yeah. Like, cool.
What do you call it? Like a rolling fortress?
Yeah. Crawling fortress.
Yeah, crawling fortress. I love that.
Yeah, that was good. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool. I mean, I feel like each one of these episodes is sort of going to be like a mini adventure. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to encounter a new species or a new, like, trial. Like, he's going to have to overcome something in every episode.
As well as moving that plot along and then getting where he needs to get by the 8th episode. But so far, so good.
Oh, I think it's
2
great.
episodes in, I'm hooked and 100%. I got to watch this.
And they've already announced and sent Jon Favreau has posted a set photo from season 2.
Oh,
so
wow.
Season 2 is midway through filming. And he's posted a set photo, which is just the Mandalorian's helmet on a rock. It doesn't really show you anything. But anyway, so so they're assuming that season 2 is going to come out around this time next year, like around launch, like around November of next year. So this is going to be an ongoing
and 8
thing.
episodes, perfect. Like bite size, easy to watch. Like
totally
it's like
good.
I think they learned hopefully from the Netflix Marvel series where they were 13 episodes. Each one was like an hour. They ran out of plot partway through. This is like
so tight.
This is much tighter and much better.
Yeah, and the way it's laid out, the last episode, episode 8, comes out the week that Rise of Skywalker comes out. So Rise of Skywalker comes out on December 20th. The last episode of Mandalorian is the 27th. So they will overlap, which means that the hype for Star Wars is going to be every week. Like, every week you're going to be super excited to watch something, and then it's going to, like, cap it off with the new movie. Woo! And then this was smart. Like, this was so smart to get people, like, to ramp people up for excitement. And who knows if they'll overlap somehow. I'm not sure. I have heard that this series will introduce the origins of the First Order. So there may be some overlap. I don't know.
Yeah, it should be really cool. Let's get into the Pop 5.
All right, let's do that.
We talked a lot of Disney Plus.
Let's move it on.
Let's go into the Pop 5.
What's hot? We'll tell you what's hot. It's the Loop and Larry Pop 5.
Pop. All right, let's take a little breather from Star Wars for a minute. Just a minute. Just a quick minute.
This is just a small time.
Yeah, just a small time. So we're going to start right off at the top with another reboot, because Hollywood loves to reboot.
Oh, God, do they ever?
And this time it's Beverly Hills Cop. They're thinking of it's actually happening. Beverly Hills Cop 4 is going to be coming straight to Netflix, and Jerry Bruckheimer is involved, and of course Eddie Murphy will be back to play Axel Foley. So I don't know if this is going to be good or not. I've read different things about this. One of the things I read is that this one is more kid-friendly. I don't know what that means, because the original...
I think there was it wasn't an R rating.
Well, the original one was a pretty hard R. I mean, it was not kid-friendly.
Yeah.
But the third one, do you remember the third one? Where he goes to, like, an amusement park, and there's like a counterfeit operation in the amusement park, and he was, like, dressed as a big elephant, and it was pretty kid friendly. That one.
They got this progressively worse too. Like, I was looking at the numbers on it. So the first one made $316 million. The next one was $200 million, and the last one was $119 million.
Yeah.
But it was like, who's the guy that was in it? Judd. Is it Judge?
Judd. I want to say Judd Nelson. Is that right? No,
that's Judge Reinhold.
Yes, Judge Reinhold. Yeah, Judge Reinhold.
I don't know if he's still around.
I don't know. I think he is, actually.
Oh, is he? Yeah.
So I don't know if he'll be back.
And I kind of put it in the same category as the last Terminator. Like, I didn't see it. I heard it was pretty good. But do we really need this?
Well, that's the thing.
Like, you know what I mean?
And so here's the question that this raises. Like, how far back do we go to reboot stuff before people nowadays don't care anymore?
Yeah.
And it's things like the Terminator. Like, I haven't even seen it yet. And it's I don't even
want to see. I've seen all the Terminators, but
I'm not jumping to go and see it.
Yeah.
And the big one that's just come out is Charlie's Angels, and apparently it's bombing, but it's like one of those franchises that kids won't ever have heard of it.
I don't even know who's in it. Like, I know Kristen.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Kristen Stewart fan. I find her she always looks like she doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, kind of.
Does that make sense? Like, she just kind of looks like that in every movie. Yeah, sort of angsty and
Yes.
But it kind of looks like, I'm here, but I don't really want to be here.
No.
Like, it's like, let's just do this.
Exactly.
Like,
So that's and it's also the last Charlie's Angels movie that came out was 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, does anybody care about Charlie's Angels? Like, but
at least that had 3 major stars in it. Like, all 3 of them were like, you knew who they were.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
This one, I'm like, the 2 of them, I looked them up. I'm like, I don't know who these. Maybe it's like a millennial angels or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know who these people are. Actually, it might even be what's the other one? The Zoomers or whatever. Or the
Boomers.
Well, no, Boomers.
Oh no,
it's
Zoomers. Yes.
Like, so it'd be. I think it's even like that generation. Like,
it could be, but I just feel like Hollywood might have to start thinking about how far back to going. How far back you can go to make a reboot before people are like, I don't even know the original. The same thing happened, unfortunately, with Dr. Sleep. Like, it didn't do well, and I saw it in the theater, and it's fantastic.
Someone else said that to me too.
It's a really good movie, but the problem is it's a sequel to a movie that came out in 1980.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know it's an iconic movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, but how many other people would be aware of it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's going way back.
But it's based on source material, though, right? Did he wrote a sequel to it?
It's based on a new book.
Okay.
But I mean, if you don't read Stephen King, you know what I mean? Like, how far back do you go and still hope to make money? I don't know.
I don't know. It's reminding me of a little like Eddie Murphy. Let me go first. That Dolomite. I don't know if you've seen the Dolomite. My Name is Dolomite.
Oh no,
it is awesome.
Oh good.
It's really good. It's a really cool story. There's stuff in there I didn't know, and I love like blaxploitation movies. I love like Dolomite's like one of my favorites, and Rudy Ray Moore. And there was stuff in there I didn't even know, and it was he did such a good job in it.
I forgot that he was in that.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of like a relaunch of sort of his career again because he kind of like disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
But now I'm worried because I heard he's doing that and he's doing Coming to America 2 or I don't know how many. Was there only one Coming to America?
Yeah, I think this is the
and
sequel
I'm like,
to that.
Like, don't you know what he's reminding me of is Stallone in the last like maybe 4 years.
Yes.
Who's done a Rambo? Who's done another Rocky? Who's like he keeps going back to these roles that he did. Like it's like do new things.
Yeah.
Like
and that's kind of what I'm feeling. So, I mean, as much as I love Beverly Hills Cop, and I love the original Beverly Hills Cop, I'm a little concerned about this one.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's coming. Let's move on from one reboot to the potential for another reboot.
Oh, God.
Luke Skywalker and Han Solo rescued the princess, destroyed the Death Star, but their story didn't end there. Now, the creators of the biggest smash hit of all time bring you the next episode in the Star Wars saga.
Mama, it's so good to see you. Happy Life Day.
Continuing story of our band of heroes. A big, new, sprawling space adventure in the Star Wars saga.
The Star Wars Holiday Special.
Like I just crammed that on the end
Good
there.
for you. That was awesome editing.
The Star Wars Holiday Special.
In case you didn't know what we were talking about. And we have already talked about it a little bit, so we won't go into it too much. But apparently Jon Favreau is really honestly playing with the idea of rebooting the Star Wars Holiday Special and making a new one, which I think is pretty awesome. If he can do that, I have absolutely no idea how he's going to do that.
Yeah.
Or...
As long as it's favreau kind of like the other one, if they kind of make fun of that one, I think it's good.
And I think they'll probably do that. The fact that obviously they got the rights to it because Favreau wrote, elements of it into the Mandalorian, so they've got the rights to it. But yeah, it's got to be done right. It's got to be cheesy. It's got to be ridiculous. But so I don't know. But he's honestly thinking that he might do it.
Because you know what? Jar Jar's family's looking for some stuff to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, this could be Life Day for
Life Day
for the Jar Jars. Yeah. So that
Jar Jars.
I don't know. He doesn't really have Binks. The Binkses.
The Binkses.
Yeah, it's the Binkses. They'll call it At Home with the Binkses.
Here we go.
So anyway, that is on.
I would like to see,
and
and on another note, I'd like to see the original holiday special actually be kind of like a good copy of it be put on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because I mean, I don't know why they're so scared of this movie. Like, it's like
everybody
knows it exists. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube.
Yep, the whole thing is there.
The entire thing. I bought a copy of it when it wasn't on YouTube. But it was like a bootleg copy. But I mean, it's everyone's like knows of it, or most people do, or have seen it. So I don't know why they're so scared not just to release it.
I don't know. And there must have been something in the contract when Lucas sold it that said you are not allowed to ever.
And they can make money off it too, because people will buy. I'd buy it.
Oh my gosh, I would buy a Blu-ray version, 100%.
I love it with like commentary or like the commentary would be great.
Oh yes, absolutely. Get some of those. I mean, a lot of those people aren't alive anymore, but some of them are. I would pay big bucks to get the good version of that. Well, we might be able to see a new version of it if Jon Favreau has his way. So number 3 on our Pop 5 is the Lord of the Rings TV show.
Yeah, did you even know they were doing a Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I did. I knew that they were doing a Lord of the Rings TV show for Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, yeah.
But Loop recently heard that they've already greenlit season 2.
Yeah, which is weird because they gave a 5-season commitment when they bought the rights to it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I think, again, like a 5-season commitment doesn't mean they're doing 5 seasons. It just means that, like, if we get that far, if it works, we'll give you at least 5 seasons of it.
Right.
But anyways, they greenlit the 2nd season. But the funny part is it hasn't even come out yet.
No.
So we don't know how it's going to play, what's going to happen. I don't even know if it's even done finishing like production.
Yeah, who knows? But obviously somebody's looked at it and said it was really good.
Yeah, or at least it's going. They're shooting in New Zealand like they did the movies.
Perfect.
So I feel like Peter Jackson somehow attached to it as well.
Oh,
but
really?
I don't know if he is for sure or not. So the movie takes place obviously in Middle Earth, but in the second age of it.
Right.
So
it won't involve the
thousands of years before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it has nothing to do with any of the movies.
And in the second time period is when the ring was created.
Oh, so we get to see like that flashback that we saw in the movies with the ring being and the Battle of Sauron and all of that stuff.
Some of that could probably happen in there.
Awesome.
But apparently Amazon spent $250 million for the rights for this.
Holy cow!
So
it better turn out well.
And that's just the rights. That doesn't include like the shooting of it and everything else. This thing's going to be. Hopefully, they don't lose their shirts on this thing. But
yeah. Well, I'll be watching it.
Lose their tunics on this.
And if I'm watching it, then it's going to be good.
It's because, as we know,
mark my words.
Mark my words. It's the best show ever. So they had a 5-season commitment. Second one's done, and there's going to be 20 episodes in the first season.
20.
So I don't know if they're half-hour episodes, hour episodes. I don't know. They've been very secretive on this, apparently. So
20 episodes is a lot.
Not a lot is known of it.
See, I'm a little worried about there being 20 episodes because the thing is with shows now when they're only like 10 or 13 episodes, I can pretty easily go back and rewatch.
Yeah.
But if it's 20 episodes, for me to sit down and rewatch an entire season with 20 episodes is not likely.
Yeah. But if it's like, let's say it's like Game of Thrones and it's amazing, then you might get sucked into it, but I don't know. We'll see how.
That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
Whew. All right. Well, I'm in regardless. That's a lot.
You may have to lock yourselves in the Mines of Moria to watch this.
Just to keep from being distracted. That's awesome. Okay. So number 4 on the list, we're heading into the Christmas season. So we thought it would be interesting to follow a little story about the BBC, who is releasing a new version of A Christmas Carol. And the trailer for this new series has just dropped. It launches in December on the BBC, and it's creepy.
Yeah, because normally, like the Christmas Carol, we would normally talk about this on this podcast, but it's like that. It's they've given it a really creepy vibe.
Yeah,
like it's.
Well,
have you? I mean, I guess there's ghosts in it. So
yeah. Have you ever read the actual book?
I'll say no.
Okay.
I may have like years and years.
Yeah,
years ago.
I read it not too long ago because I hadn't ever read it before. So I read it just a couple years ago.
Is Mickey Mouse in it? Because I'm pretty sure I read that one. Was Scrooge McDuck?
No.
Okay. Go on.
Anyway, so the book itself is actually really dark, like really dark.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. It is not a kid's book. So like the source material that they've got to create this new TV show is dark. Like this is how it's sort of meant to be. It's not sort of a fun, kid-friendly story. So, but this is a multi-part series, so it's not just a 2-hour movie. So they're going to stretch it over I can't remember how many episodes they said, 5 maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. But if you can get your hands on the trailer, we'll try to put it up on our.
I was gonna say maybe we should put that on our socials.
We'll put it on our social media site and take a look at it because it looks really good, like really good.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the special effects are great, and it's a totally different take. Like it'll be a different, even if you think you know
even
the story.
Scrooge looks a lot younger than I'd expect him to look.
Well, it's Guy
Pierce.
Yes.
Was that who that was?
I believe it's Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce is one of those actors. He could be in like a million movies. I'd never recognize him in any of them. If you put him in a lineup, I'd never be able to pick him out.
Nope, but you know his name.
I know his name. I know Guy Pearce's name.
And when you hear it, you'll be like, "Oh, that's Guy Pearce."
Oh, that crazy Guy Pearce.
Yeah, so he is young. He's much younger. But yeah, it's a totally different take. So you should check this out because I think it's going to be interesting.
All right, check that out on our social media.
On our social media.
We'll put it on our Facebook page. Let's do that.
All right, let's do that.
And if I find the password to our Twitter, we're going to do it on Twitter. I found it. I lost it for a little bit. I'm like, oh God, where's that password? Okay.
All of our millions of Twitter followers.
That should have been our number 5.
That's right.
Loop loses the password to Twitter
and then finds it again. All right, and number 5 in our Pop 5 for this week, just announced on this date of recording, the podcast, The Joker, has been given a sequel.
Oh, wow.
So, yep, the Joker will get a sequel, and it will be directed again by Todd Phillips, who is also co-writing it, and he wrote the first one. And apparently Joaquin Phoenix will be back to reprise his role as the Joker. There are no real details on this, but apparently what happened was Todd Phillips went into the studio, to the offices at DC with the idea to create origin stories like Joker for a bunch of different DC villains.
That's really cool.
That hadn't been done before.
Yeah,
like Darkseid and some of the lesser known ones, but origin stories.
Yeah.
And apparently he was shut down.
Okay.
He was told, nope, we don't do that. That's not something we do. But apparently in that same meeting,
I think DC should do whatever he says because this is the biggest movie they've ever. Didn't it like cross like $1 billion?
It's crossed a bit. It's the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
Yeah, I mean, they should just bow down to him.
Yeah, exactly, and just give him. Yeah, he's literally like the Kevin. How do you pronounce his name? Feige. He's the Kevin Feige of DC.
Yes.
He's the Russo brothers of DC now.
They should give him the keys, leave the offices.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yep. So, but they did give him a sequel. So there will be a sequel to Joker. I don't know if it's just going to be one movie or if they're doing more than that, but there will be a sequel coming out soon. Not soon,
I'm
but
going to say right now that it's going to be called Jokers.
I don't think that's a good idea.
I'm just saying
I'm gonna say no to that.
I'm just saying that's what I think they're.
I think they might call it the Joker.
I don't know. I think they're going to call it Jokers.
Like there's like all kinds of Jokers.
Yeah, because I did hear that Carrot Top was.
Oh my God! You're not allowed to watch this movie anymore.
What is happening right now? I'm just saying. These are things I'm hearing through my grapevine.
You need to shut down that grapevine. Shut it down. It's wrong.
Buddy Hackett's name's been mentioned in the last.
No.
Actually, didn't he die? I don't think.
Yes.
Oh man.
No. Okay, let's just move on from there. This has gone too far.
So dumb.
All right. So, Loop, you've got a little bit of a trending item that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, just this is where we kind of talk about some things that aren't in our Pop 5, but just things that we've been watching or stuff that we've noticed. I just want to mention, I know you're not a big wrestling fan, but I talked about AEW a few weeks ago. This is a big year for wrestling. A lot of crazy things. This is huge. There's a new show on called NWA Power. Now, NWA was like kind of one of the original like 70s sort of wrestling federations, turned into WCW after a while.
Right.
So they've started the show, and instead of going big like WWE and that where they have explosions and giant stadiums, they're actually shooting this in like a studio. So it's like kind of like, remember like when you used to watch wrestling in the 80s, it would be kind of shot in a studio with like that background where they'd interview people at like a desk. It's set up. It looks like a 70s broadcast.
Really?
Or an 80s broadcast.
That's
really
pretty cool.
But kind of new. And they've got wrestlers that you've seen in other federations and stuff like that.
Like Iron Sheik?
No. Like newer guys from the WWE and stuff like that. Okay. Like that are still kind of hanging around.
Right. Junkyard Dog?
No. Okay. But those guys would have been in NWA like at one point.
Right.
So, and like Ric Flair was at NWA.
Oh,
So it's But what happened was when they became WCW, the NWA, which was owned, like that trademark was owned by someone else, was kind of past hands. And it went to somebody that you'll know very well, which is Billy Corgan owns it now.
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah,
okay, I have heard this.
This is what he owns.
Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins.
From the Smashing Pumpkins.
Right.
So this is what he owns right now.
Okay.
They had a little controversy this week based on some commentary from Jim Cornette, which doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
But anyways, it's just got this retro feel to it. It's on YouTube. All the episodes are on YouTube.
Oh, that's where it's running?
Yeah, so it runs on YouTube. It's just cool. Like it just has this cool feel to it. It totally feels like, even though there's like modern wrestlers on it, it totally feels like a show from the 80s. Like it has that sort of feel to it. But anyway, I just want to mention because it's not like. It's just a different way of presenting wrestling again, like with an old school feel. And I just thought it was kind of neat. Like,
and what's it called?
It's called NWA Power with 3 R's.
Power.
But it was just kind of cool. But Billy Corgan was involved in, not Ring of Honor, but he was involved in Impact Wrestling for a while. And he was trying to buy it, and then it didn't really go his way. And then, so now this is what he bought.
Right.
He bought it about 2 years ago, but now this is some of the results of it are finally coming out. He's a huge wrestling fan.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So he hasn't appeared on it yet. He did appear on Impact a couple times.
Really? Well, then he's probably going to appear here at some point.
At some point, but it's cool that he owns it. Like I think that's
pretty
kinda
cool.
neat, but he has the money, so he might as well do it.
Yeah. Wow.
So, anyways, that was mine.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I've got one more here. I'm on a bit of a Star Wars kick lately because
Really?
Yeah, because when am I not? So along with the Mandalorian, the other thing that launched in November on the 15th was the new video game called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, yeah, I saw that was out.
Yep. So I, of course, had to pick that up. So I picked it up for the PS4.
The commercial's fun for it.
It is fun.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. And so essentially the story is it takes place after Episode 3, after the Order 66, where all of the Jedi had been eliminated by the Empire and they've all been killed. There was this lone Jedi named Cal. I don't know his last name yet. Cal, excuse me, who...
Ripken?
No.
Oh.
Who's a Jedi, but he hid from this situation so he could survive, and he's actually now working at like a foundry kind of thing for the Empire.
Yeah.
Just because he's in hiding so people won't see him. But anyway, the story is about him sort of regaining his Jedi powers and trying to rebuild the Jedi Order. And it's amazing. The storyline is fantastic. I'm only about an hour into it, so I can't tell you too much about it.
Yeah, that's fine. But it's cool.
It's really good. The graphics are unbelievable. It's a third-person shooter, so you see the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it looks like a movie. Like the level of detail that they've added to this thing is unbelievable. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. If you can swing it, it's on Xbox and PS4 and console and PC and all of those things.
Commodore 64.
No, it is definitely not on the Commodore 64. No. But it's great. It's a new, completely new story. So it adds a lot to the mythology, and it fills in some gaps after Episode 3, between Episode 3 and 4. So it's really cool. It's really, really good.
It's on my son's Christmas list. I saw it on there.
There you go.
I'll definitely be getting it for him.
Yep.
I mean, he's not listening to this podcast. I am not. I will not be getting
absolutely
the Star Wars
not.
game
We don't
for
even
him.
know what his Christmas list is.
I don't even know what that is.
Who is this boy you're talking about?
I don't know.
So there you go.
Excellent. Well, I think it's time. We're going to talk a little bit more Disney Plus, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Let's do the pop capacitor.
All right.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go take a walk over here to the car.
All right.
All right, there it is. All right, let's get in. I should wash this thing once in a while. There we go. 88 miles per hour!
Yeah, it needs a good cleaning.
Yeah.
It's been almost a year now. I don't think we've even changed the oil on it.
No, we haven't.
No, we really should, else we're going to get stuck in the wormhole.
That's one thing about our podcast. We're not good at car maintenance.
No, we're really not. We're good at walking to it and running from it.
Yeah, and explosions at the beginning.
That's right. That's pretty much all we're good at.
There we go. Okay, so we are... Disney Plus came out, and of course, we talked earlier about all these retro shows on there. And there's a show that I'm familiar with, never really watched when it was on.
Me either.
But we both thought, but there's been a lot of buzz on it, and it's called Gargoyles. Don't know a lot about it.
1,000 years locked in stone. Their time has come. With the only human they can call a friend, they are about to take wing in an epic battle against evil. Watch for all new episodes of Gargoyles every Friday starting next week right here on this station.
The station being Disney Plus.
Or whatever station that was originally.
So I've never watched this show. Now, I remember when I used to work at the TV station.
Yep.
I believe we played it on syndication 5 days a week.
It came out in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I would have been working in the tape room, and we played that and a bunch of other shows, kind of like VIP with Pamela Anderson.
Oh, right.
You know, those type of shows. So, but I remember playing this, but I don't remember watching a lot of it. So I'm familiar with it. I just don't remember a lot of it.
I agree. I was familiar with it. I feel like we were maybe just outside of its demographic, by age. We were sort of in our early 20s at that point, so maybe we were just beyond sitting down to watch it, but we missed out.
Yeah, because it was on from 94 to 97.
Yeah. So
literally a year after it aired, Pulp Fiction came out.
Exactly.
So I don't think this was really what we were watching at that time.
It wasn't.
I just know it through osmosis through that.
But we missed out because this is a great show.
It is really good.
Really good show.
Can I just say this does not feel like a Disney show?
It does not even feel like it doesn't even feel like a kid's show.
No, it's a little dark.
Yeah.
But it's it doesn't have that sort of like DuckTales feel or Timon and Pumbaa or whatever they have, it's a total cool concept.
Yeah. And I think that's why it has such a cult following, because it was so breakaway. It was so I can't think of another sort of cartoon that is like this one. It is very different. So basically, in a nutshell. So we're going to talk about the first 5 episodes, because the first 5 episodes are called the first 5 episodes are called The Beginning, and it was one continuous arc. The episodes are 22 minutes long, but it was one continuous arc from the beginning, just to introduce you to the characters and give you backstory and that sort of thing. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But essentially, the story is that these gargoyles, who by day are encased in cement and live on top of a castle, then look like regular gargoyles. By night, the concrete comes away and they are alive, and they protect the castle. Their whole lives are about protecting the castle.
Yeah.
And the whole show starts back in the Middle Ages. So that's a kind of a neat take on it too, is that it starts back during the Middle Ages, and you see knights and you see castles, and so it's a whole different take on cartoons at that time.
Right. Yep.
And then, of course, because all things have to become modern, at one point they're encased in concrete again. A magic spell is put on them so that they're encased in concrete, and they live in this concrete for hundreds of years until they're finally awoken again in 1990s New York City.
Right. So
the castle is still there partially, so they're still on top of it. It was never destroyed, but the world around them is now modern New York. And so then they have to sort of figure out where they are, and then of course they get embroiled in a conspiracy theory or conspiracies, and people find them and try to weaponize them. And anyway, it's that's sort of the premise of the first 5 episodes anyway.
Yeah, it's like a fish out of water story, but with gargoyles.
But it is, it's essentially it's gargoyles.
But it was cool. It kind of made sense, because they couldn't, the magic spell, they couldn't come out of it until the castle rose above the clouds. So the guy that took the castle from where it was, he moved it to New York and put it on top of a skyscraper, so it was above the clouds. Right. That's what broke the spell.
That's right.
And it was some of the gargoyles died. Someone one got bashed to death while it was still encased in stone. It was it's kind of violent.
It is violent. And I mean, the language is even different. For example, in episode 2, there's a line, they're trying to rebuild the castle, and somebody says, "Pay a man well enough and he'll walk barefoot into hell." What kind of kid show is this? That's pretty...
I found a line too, which was funny. Someone, I don't know what it was in reference to, but someone said, "They are young and impetuous." Yeah. I'm who knows the word impetuous? I don't even know what really that meant. I'm what?
Seriously.
Young and impetuous.
Yeah. That's the kind of show this was. they weren't writing it for
it wasn't
young
lowbrowed.
kids. Nope.
No.
It was very smart and really well done and really compelling. Like the characters that are in this, like they're I guess five gargoyles.
Yeah,
something like that. And they're
five
all
or six. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think the dog's a sixth.
Oh, there's a dog gargoyle too.
Yeah.
They're all completely different personalities. Like, of course, there's the comic relief. There are two of them, a little skinny one and a big fat one, and they're the kind of the comic relief. But they have serious moments. So they all have really well developed personalities. So you get really invested in what they're doing. And when one of them dies, they're sad, and you kind of go like, whoa, this is kind of heavy hitting. And at one point, they think before they move to modern times, the main gargoyle's girlfriend, he thinks, has been killed, and so he's devastated. And when he wakes up, they find that she's still alive. So there's this reunion, and it's really emotional. Like, it's really a kind of a powerful reunion of these characters, and it's totally different for a cartoon like this.
It does look very 90s.
Yes,
like the main sort of villain that brings them to New York is like the ponytail, like the shortcut hair, but with the ponytail.
Yeah,
like,
and the long trench coat.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Oh,
right.
it is such a slice of 90s life.
And the main I can't remember what her name is, the female cop. She's got like the big puffy like leather jacket.
Yep.
Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, it totally did. And the other cool thing about it is just because it happens in New York City, they chosen real locations. So you actually see the Twin Towers, which is kind of interesting. At one point they're in Central Park. And in Central Park, there's a statue of Alice in Wonderland, like in the real Central Park. They added that to the show. So they've animated, drawn the...
That's cool.
So people... I was reading something about a person who, grew up in New York City and was so excited every week to watch this show because he'd be like, oh, I know where that is. I was just down there, last week.
They did the research, for sure.
Yeah, you actually recognize... So it's not, a made-up environment. And the other thing is that when there are cops shooting at people, they're using real looking guns. This is not cartoony stuff. They're using real weapons that have real damage and stuff. It's crazy.
Even the Joker stairs are in it.
Yeah. What? Oh yeah. Exactly. It's crazy. The one thing I just want to mention, in one of the episodes, they're sitting and watching a TV. And they're flipping the channels. And of course, the only way you could tell that this is Disney is because they're flipping the channels, and one of the channels that he flips by has the animated Lion King movie playing on it.
Does it? Yeah, that's hilarious.
I was like, oh, right, this is a Disney thing.
I also laughed too because there's a part where they put a VHS into a machine.
Yes.
And another part where there's they have a hard disk with information on it. It's like a hard...
big... Yeah, well, that's their whole thing is trying to locate this hard disk. Yeah. Because the hard disk has this information that they require on it, but it's like an totally old school floppy disk that it would have had probably 2 pages of information on there because that's all you could fit on a floppy disk. Yeah. So I don't know how much data they could have been hiding.
They would have needed about 10 to get what they needed.
But it was so it's really it's really cool to go back and look at all these references that were totally modern at the time. At the time, this would have been all cutting edge stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. It's weird to watch it because I never watched it as a kid. No. So it's not like I'm going back and kind of rewatching it with different eyes. It's this is the first time I've really seen it.
Yeah.
But it interested us because it's people were already talking about it before Disney Plus even started.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see what all the fuss was about because I do know there was a cult following for it for sure.
Yeah. And now I can see why. I can see it was so different. And people who love Disney would have been totally thrown off by this show that had the word hell in it. And
to me this would have been the equivalent to a Transformers for us or a G.I. Joe. It was sort of a little bit more serious, but it's still kind of fun, but more had a tiny bit of a dark edge to it, I guess.
But I feel like this one had even more of a darker edge than than those ones did. Now, we only watched the first 5 episodes so we could see this whole arc, so I haven't gone beyond that. I thought so. It's 3 seasons long. First season has 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I could probably barrel through this if each season has 13 episodes. First season has 13 episodes. Second season has 52 episodes.
That's not happening.
Nope, the third season has 13 episodes. So there's like 78 episodes.
Wow.
Altogether. So it's a full show. Like it's a full show, but I was like, I don't know if I can probably get through the first season. I don't know if I can get through all 52
like
episodes.
having watched like 91 episodes of G.I. Joe, I can say it takes a bit.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So, but no, I think to review it, I guess I'd say like it totally stands up. I mean, if I enjoyed it as an adult, like just watching it again or watching it for kind of the first time and discovering it, it definitely was good. I loved it.
It was. And it was interesting enough that I binged it. Like I watched like 3 episodes at a time. I'd finish an episode and be like, I want to keep going. Like it was really like,
I think I watched the first 2 and then I came back and watched 3 in a row.
Yeah. It's a really strong series. Like I can see why people absolutely love this thing, and it's, I mean, although it's dated because it's definitely 90s references, the stories and the characters are still really interesting.
Yeah, no, it was great. I thought it's a good choice to be on. I can see why if you're a fan of it, it'd be exciting to have it on Disney Plus.
Yes,
right?
Because it's like I don't know where else you would have seen it.
I feel like it hasn't been on anything for a while. I think that's why people were like really anticipating it. Like it was on VHS or like maybe like DVD at some point. But
I don't even know if all of the seasons ever came out. I seem to remember reading that season 1 was released on home video, and that was it.
Okay,
so
that's
I don't even
why
know.
Everybody was like,
I don't even know the other 2 came out ever.
Yeah, kind of freaking about getting this season because that's the thing now. We're a completist sort of like mentality now, right? You want all the episodes, or like because people don't like when something's missing from an episode list or whatever. So. But definitely, I thought it was worth watching if you haven't seen it. Even if with all these cartoons on Disney Plus, I think it's worth kind of revisiting like even a few episodes of each one just to see what they're like, even if you can't make it through a full season. Like
exactly, I did the same thing for Darkwing Duck. Because I never really watched Darkwing Duck at the time. I watched a little bit, but not a lot. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to pop on an episode or 2 just to see it again. And it's cool. It's cool to like hear the theme songs and see some of the animation again. It's really, that's what this whole Disney Plus is like a big nostalgia trip.
And stuff that you just haven't seen in a long time and stuff that hasn't been available for years. Like, it's funny how like those shows, like there's lots of shows like that just never really quite got released properly, or like stuff like Battle of the Planets.
Yes.
Like Star Blazers. I used to watch that. Like it's hard to find the full series anywhere. Like I mean, you can get them, but it's so like they're either really super expensive now, or
you have to import them from another country.
Like or the DVD will only have like 5 episodes on it, or like it's just weird. So it's cool that they can start to store this stuff but anyways, I can see Disney buying other sort of like properties from other companies and start to import some of this stuff in, but
potentially.
anyways.
But it's so. Do you think it holds up?
I think it totally holds up. I think it's kind of cool.
Yep, I really think.
I think we'll start seeing a lot more Gargoyles fans in the next like few years, like that'll start to come out of the woodwork that just weren't because it wasn't really out there, but now that it's out there and you can watch it, I think.
And people are talking about it. But I mean, if you only watch the first 5 episodes, the first 5 episodes have a definite start and end, so you can. Like, if you don't want to watch all 78 episodes, you can stop after episode 5 and get a really good story, like a really good.
Apparently, they made that into a movie, like those 5 episodes.
Oh, really?
Like there's a Gargoyles movie, and I looked it up, and apparently it's just the first 5 episodes. Called Awakenings or whatever it was called.
The beginning.
Yeah, I think it's called Awakenings.
Oh, Awakenings. You're right. I'm sorry. Yes.
It might be called something different depending on what you're watching.
No, I think you're right. Awakenings. Yep.
But then there was some stuff cut out of it to make it like an hour and a half.
Right.
But they've made it into like a movie.
Well, and it feels like that. Like if you watched it as a full solid, like in a solid chunk, it would feel like a movie, and you would want to watch it all the way through. Like it's that compelling. Like those characters are that interesting that I think you could totally sit through a solid movie of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm glad people sat through a whole episode of Guardians of Geek.
Yeah. This is our 20th episode.
Yeah, it is our 20th episode.
By the way, yeah, we should celebrate somehow.
This season, we're hoping to go for 52 episodes in the season.
And then next season will be only 13.
13 back to 13 episodes. No, it's cool. So, and thank you for joining us week to week, and tell your friends about us. Follow us on social, and we'll try to get all the stuff. A lot of the stuff we talked about, I'll put up the NWA Power episode, like the episode 1.
A link,
Yeah, people can continue from there.
Yeah, we'll put up the Christmas Carol trailer. Yeah, well, you'll get lots of stuff. You go to visit us on the socials.
When we feel like getting to social media, we will.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get there eventually. If not,
we do a fair amount on Facebook and stuff. Like
that's true. That's true.
The Instagram occasionally.
Yeah, but fortunately, we live in a world where all you need to know is the name of something, and you can find it.
You can find it. Of course. Yeah, just make sure you tell other people about the podcast. They can go back and listen or watch or listen to our first ones.
Yeah,
or they can just pick up right now.
Exactly.
And just continue on.
That's the loveliness of streaming.
Our first 5 podcast episodes are a arc.
That's right. So you have to actually listen to them all together.
Yeah.
But
I don't know what you're going to get out of them,
no.
but and I also want to just give a quick shout out to Jack 1023 that provides the studios for us.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it all again in 2 weeks.
All right, let's do it. Thanks for listening.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller.
Bad news. The fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable.
Brian's right. It's an elf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wax off.